Hi guys, this is gsnhome.com and I'm here with a review of the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus. We've already reviewed and unboxed the Galaxy S20 and the S20 Ultra, and now it's time for the handset in between them. It's in the middle of the triplet, and this phone should be priced at around $900, maybe even $1,000, depending on what you want, the 4G or the 5G version of it. Okay, so as usual, this is the median flagship, so to say. Last year it was the S10, this year is the S20 Plus. Now the handset you can see here comes in Cosmic Black, Cosmic Gray, this Cloud Blue, and also Cloud White, and also an Aura Red apparently. It's a quad camera phone with some flagship values, including the CPU. Okay, let's talk about the design first. Obviously, it's made of glass and metal. You can see the glass at the back side, but the format is rather generic. It resembles the Galaxy A series a bit too much. The facade is a bit more premium, and here we definitely have glass with some narrow bezels and pretty much the same cutout as the Galaxy Note 10 series, perhaps smaller, the punch hole here. We have narrow bezels, an immersive experience, a pretty solid grip, and a thickness of 7.8 millimeters, plus a weight of 186 grams, which is flattering considering the diagonal size. IP68 certified, resilient to dust and water. Aside from the generic back, I would say things are fine design-wise. Now, on the display front, you're being treated here with a 6.7-inch screen. It's a dynamic AMOLED with a resolution of 3200 over 1440 pixels. It's got HDR10 Plus support, it's got Gorilla Glass 6 protection, 20:9 aspect ratio, and also always on display. By the way, right now we're using this phone in the 120 Hz refresh rate mode. Default is the 60 Hz, so there's that. That's why things are so fluid. Okay, so the viewing experience will be shown right now. We have a typical test video here, and this is what it looks like. First of all, the punch hole doesn't bother me, doesn't get in the way at all. We have very wide view angles. The image is very crisp and colors really pop out. The motion is very fluid, particularly in the higher refresh rate. Excellent brightness, pretty solid contrast even in the full sunlight, and deep blacks. And by the way, we also have 240 Hz touch sensing. Okay, we're done with that. Let's go to other aspects of our testing. Okay, so let's see what we got here and maybe lower the brightness a little bit. Okay, so when it comes to the brightness test, we achieved, I would say, a rather modest 402 lux units, but in reality it feels like a much brighter screen. So 402 lux units, which means which should be on the 217 spot in our hierarchy, and in real life it feels much brighter. While it's clearly below the Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro and the Huawei P40 Pro, you can tell that, and it's also below the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. We have a bunch of settings for this screen here, and you can find them by going here, display, we got your brightness, we got your adaptive brightness, the motion smoothness. We can change the frame rate from here, refresh rate, not frame rate, blue light filter, the color modes, vivid, natural, white balance, and RGB sliders, full screen apps, screen timeout, there's an easy mode, and several other options. That's it in a nutshell. I'm happy with the screen colors, its refresh rate, but I would have liked to see Quad HD resolution on 120 Hz, not just Full HD. Okay, so now we proceed further. We're going to talk about the CPU. We're dealing here with the version that has an Exynos 990 inside, 8 gigs of RAM, also 128 gigabytes of storage, UFS 3.0, and micro SD. People have been talking how the Snapdragon version is superior. It is in benchmarks and games. This phone may run into a bit of throttling and also has a higher temperature after being used for a long time in games. Now, these are statements that everybody's making, and after a few updates and regular use, I was actually pretty impressed by the benchmarks, believe it or not. In Antutu 8, it's placed on the 4th spot, even beating the Apple iPhone 11 Pro Max, which not every phone can do nowadays. It also beats the Galaxy S20 Ultra, so there's that. Maybe the bad hype only surrounds the S20 Ultra and its Exynos CPU. It gets beaten by the OnePlus 8 though by about 60,000 points. When it comes to the GPU, we got 3D Mark Slingshot Extreme. Here we're on the 5th spot, beating the Asus ROG Phone 2, which is a gaming phone, so overall not that bad. Several more tests are done here, but I'll be mentioning them in the full text review. Okay, now when it comes to the temperature, we also did tests in that regard. And when it comes to temperature in benchmarks, we got as high as 35.3 degrees Celsius, which is not half bad. Excuse me, it's actually 36.9 degrees Celsius in benchmarks, and in games it's 35.3. None of them are huge, none of them go past our threshold of 40 degrees, so I would say we're doing fine. But once again, if you go past half an hour of gaming, the phone may seem quite hot. Okay, so it's time to discuss the battery. It may sound quite generous to hear that we have a 4500 mAh unit on this 6.7-inch phone. It also has 25 watt fast charging, wireless charging, and even reverse charging if you put a device on the back side of the phone. Okay, let's see how it did in our tests. Once again, we resort to our sister site, go to the battery, and we have a pretty impressive 17 hours and 11 minutes. And it beats the Huawei P30 Pro, the Zenfone 6, and several other phones like the Oppo Find X2 and also the OnePlus 7 Pro. It scrolls below the Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro if you really want a comparison, and let's see which other flagships beat it. So below the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, Note 10 Lite, S10 Lite, and the Xiaomi Mi Note 10, as well as the iPhone 11 Pro Max. When it comes to continuous usage, a pretty good 13 hours and 2 minutes, and an interesting fact here is the exact same continuous usage as the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, which is kind of cool to see. I see that we beat the Huawei Mate 30 Pro, but we score below the Huawei P40 Pro. The charging is done in full in 1 hour and 40 minutes, and after 1 hour you're at 90%, after 30 minutes you're at 48%, so not that bad. Of course, we also have power saving options. And now let's talk acoustics. Okay, so we have stereo speakers here, tuned by AKG. We're lacking an audio jack, and we have a solid set of headphones bundled, also tuned by AKG. We got Dolby Atmos here, and I even installed the music player, which Samsung makes. It's quite nifty. I've been loving it for years now. And we also have some customizations like equalizers, UHQ upscale, genre setting, 9 constant channels, and all that. But let's go straight to the experience. So here we go. Okay, several impressions about this experience. There's a lot of vibration. There's actually quite a lot of vibration within the body of the smartphone, and the speakers are very loud. They really make a thud into the surface you're putting the phone on. There's a lot of bass and serious stereo. I mean, it's a really stereo experience that these two speakers deliver. They're well balanced and cover all the notes nicely. Now we have decibel meter tests here, so let's see how that came out. So first of all, let's see how the volume performed in the sample test. Only 82.6 decibels, which is not very impressive if I'm being honest. It may beat the Galaxy S10 5G and Galaxy S10 Plus. It sits below the OnePlus 8 and Huawei Mate 30 Pro. When it comes to the gaming, we're reaching 90 decibels, and this is an area where usually nowadays phones go past 100 decibels. Definitely not impressive, but it's one of those cases when the decibel meter is not an accurate reflection of what the speakers are actually offering. Now, when it comes to the camera, at the front side we have a 10 megapixel shooter, which is for selfies. It's in a punch hole, and it does 4K 60 frames per second videos, which may be useful for a vlogger career. At the back side there's a quad camera setup. 3 of the cameras are exactly the same as the S20, so we got a 12 megapixel main shooter with optical image stabilization, dual pixel autofocus, then a huge 64 megapixel telephoto camera with a 3x hybrid optical zoom, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera coupled with an extra 0.3 megapixel time of flight 3D camera borrowed from the S20 Ultra. You can also shoot 8K video in 20 frames per second. There's a single take feature which basically creates ideal social media posts for you in video format. There's Pro Video, there's a night mode, there's live focus video and 30x optical zoom. And now I'm going to skip straight to the gallery so you can see some of the pictures I've taken, and boy, there's quite a few of them. So basically, I can tell you this. Everything I said about the Galaxy S20 camera applies here with an extra added boost of bokeh, because we get the extra time of flight camera. Okay, so let's see what we're dealing with here. Starting off with these shots taken indoors during the pandemic isolation. So one thing I noticed is that the sky doesn't come off in a realistic fashion color-wise, and also the vegetation is quite vivid. Too vivid maybe. A thing that impressed me quite a bit was the zoom. You can see here a car in the distance, and I'm zooming in quite a bit. It's 3x optical hybrid zoom, and still it does the job fine from the balcony. We have excellent close-ups of flowers, so when it comes to close-ups, this phone is top-notch, much better focus in close-ups compared to the Huawei P40 Pro and Galaxy Galaxy S20 Ultra. We have several shots here, and another test of the zoom is this one. This is the actual distance. We kept going closer and closer with the zoom, and that's what you get, up to 30x. Okay, we went even further, and as you can see here, this lawn looks radioactive. The colors are blown up a bit too much, and the sky also. You'll never see such a sky in real life with your eyes. So that's basically one of the problems. You may want to deactivate the AI and get rid of that. But in general, the other hues were accurate. It's only the sky and the grass which are getting this treatment. Okay, so I spoke about daytime photos. We have another series of these photos. One of the good pieces of news is that when you're taking the ultra wide shots, there will be zero problems with deformation of colors, and also there's no distortion of the field of view and objects. We have some superb landscapes taken with the phone at the sunset. Now this time the colors are quite okay, and even the sky looks nice. We're getting almost into low light territory, but in general I was very happy with the results we got here. Okay, selfies. We have quite a few of them, and as usual, Samsung has kept its usual filters for the bokeh shots. There's a very nice separation of the foreground and the background of the subject and the thing behind it. It doesn't cut anything extra. It doesn't also get into the scenery, so that's nice. However, even though these effects are cool, they're getting a bit old, and maybe Samsung needs new ones. Huawei keeps adding more, and also the competition is also adding more. Excellent texture of the hair, of the skin. It's only a 10 megapixel camera, but it's acting in a superior fashion to other higher end cameras out there. Okay, and that's about it camera wise. It's right in between the Galaxy S20 and S20 Ultra, and actually beats the Ultra when it comes to the close-up focus. Now we have some low light shots here for you. And if I hadn't seen other flagship this year, I would have been impressed, but after having seen the Huawei P40 Pro, I am harder to impress. Definitely do not use the ultra wide camera, which is a bit of a bummer. As you can see, it blows up the street lights, it distorts the image and creates fuzzy results, as if you're holding grains of sand in your hand. That's the feeling I'm getting after watching those pics. Also, I feel that the low light shots don't capture as much light as the Huawei P40 Pro did, but the colors are quite convincing during the nighttime, perhaps even more so than during the day when the sun got in the way. The zoom didn't impress me as much during the night as it did during the day. We have several shots here, and there's one with the playground that sticks out. So this is the regular shot, and this is the one with the night mode. You can definitely tell a difference here. It corrects everything properly, and we do not have that drawing effect that I noticed on the Huawei P40 Pro, which is kind of nice. So there's that. Aside from that, I think it's time to talk about the video. Remember this, I would say it can compete with any flagship out there, except for the excessive color calibration, which is a bit too vivid at times. We have quite a few videos here. One would say too many of them. Now this video here shows you that the focus is very fast. You can totally change focus like this and there will be zero problems. As usual, Samsung with the fastest focus in the biz. Okay, we have several more shots and the colors look vivid on the video front as well. The sky is crazy blue. You will never encounter that kind of blue in real life. And we also have some random samples here. These are taken with the single take camera option, which creates the cute and nifty and social worthy shots for you. Okay, and we're walking here, if I remember correctly. Now we're actually panning here and zooming. Let's find the one where we're actually walking. Okay, here we go. Stabilization is on point. I actually have zero objections. It can easily compete with the Huawei P40 Pro and the Galaxy S20 Ultra, or maybe even beat them. This is walking. I actually have another video when we're running, and things are great as well. The video that blew me away was the selfie one. It was so good, it deserved to be in a sort of music video. I know we have a ton of videos, but be patient. I'm going to find the one we're looking for. This is it. So you can shoot in 4K 60 frames per second, and you can definitely make a student video. You can definitely make a vlogger's video. You can really create something of excellent quality here using a mere smartphone. The stabilization is great. The texture of the face is on point. It's perhaps the best selfie video shooting camera I've seen. During the low light conditions, I wasn't that impressed, so things are a bit murkier here and a bit soft. If you're moving a bit, you may see some distortion. The quantity of light is decent, but I've seen better on other flagships. So that's that when it comes to the camera. It only beats the S20 Ultra in the close-ups. Other than that, I feel the need to get more realistic colors. Now we get into the connectivity. You can buy the phone in a 4G or 5G version, and aside from that, there's a Bluetooth 5.0, there's a USB-C port at the bottom, there's GPS, AGPS and GLONASS, BDS and Galileo, NFC, Wi-Fi, A, B, G, N, AC and AX, ANT+, a lot of names for a lot of types of connectivity. Okay, the calls were pretty loud and clear in my book, and we'll even have the Duo, Google Duo app integrated in the phone app. Now when it comes to the speed test, we also did that. We're using the special speed test app on 4G and Wi-Fi. We got as high as 347 megapers in downloads for Wi-Fi and 42, let's see. So once again, 347 megapers in downloads on Wi-Fi and 24.9 megapers in uploads. Quite a discrepancy, but still a high result. And on 4G, 137 megapers in downloads and 42.1 megapers in uploads. These are flagship worthy values, even though I would have liked the 4G higher. In lockdown, it's a bit harder to go to the center of the town. When it comes to the software, if you've seen a Samsung phone lately with high-end features, it probably already has One UI 2.1 and Android 10. One UI means, for about a year now, a focus on using the phone with the lower third of the screen. So here is where all the action is, all the tabs, categories, navigation are focused here. The interface is minimalistic. You can see that in the icons. It's a bit childish and also abstract. The Bixby aggregator has been turned into Samsung Daily with a bunch of cards showing you useful info and recommendations related to Spotify, Netflix and other installed stuff. You can tweak them, of course. Multitasking happens like this. And you also have the option to create split screen views and also a pop-up view where you have a window hovering on your other windows. There's a drop-down section where we can see the notifications and toggles for quick settings, where you can also find new features, and those include the music share, where you turn your phone into a hub for music speakers. There's a dark mode, now a bit evolved, quick share, so you can quickly send stuff to other Samsung phones, and a screen recorder. Here you can find the settings, nothing out of the ordinary. You got biometrics with face unlock and fingerprint scanner embedded in the screen, your Bixby routines, motions and gestures, and of course you can replace these buttons here at the bottom with gestures. Okay, so fingerprint scanner unlock happens like this. Not the fastest in the world, but also not as slow as other reviews have shown. Definitely improved with the last few updates. So that's that. As far as the pre-installed apps are concerned, you get your typical Samsung set, SmartThings, Internet, Samsung Health, AR Zone, Bixby, as well as the Microsoft set, Office, OneDrive, LinkedIn and Outlook, Samsung Members, Galaxy Store, Spotify and Netflix. Plus you can take notes with Samsung Notes, and there's the game launcher for all the gamers out there. Okay, so when all said and done, I think it's time to give you the verdict. Okay, so here we are. This is our website, gsnhome.com, and when it comes to the pros of this phone, it's definitely got a pretty facade with an immersive screen. The screen is solid, it displays vivid colors, it has a high refresh rate. The performance is good for this handset, perhaps even more so than expected for an Exynos phone. It has a great battery, nice stereo speakers, good stabilization when filming, solid zoom, the best selfie video around, very good close-ups. 4K 60 frames per second videos are on point, single take is a plus, and One UI is of course one of my favorite interfaces on Android. Those are the pros. On the con side, the back side is a bit generic, doesn't stand out, and there's no 120 Hz on a Quad HD resolution. The brightness of the screen is actually not record-breaking. Also, the acoustics aren't record-breaking, even though in real life they're quite solid. The colors are off when taking shots with the camera, especially the greens of the vegetation in the sky are a bit too vivid for my taste and for everyone's taste. The ultra-wide capture gets really poor at night. The phone may get hot after 30 minutes of gaming, and the zoom, while it impressed me considering the specs, doesn't hold a candle to what Huawei is offering right now. So that's about it. To be totally honest, I actually would pick this phone over the Galaxy S20 Ultra. Because the S20 Ultra, as you know, has had some problems with the fingerprint scanner, with the autofocus, with the green screen and things like that. This is actually a more solid offer, only if you're not that much into zoom. This is better for close-ups and better for selfie videos compared to the Galaxy S20 Ultra. So if you're all about the battery, the acoustics, the screen and the single take and nifty videos, this may be the phone for you. The Galaxy S20 Ultra is gigantic, has a mixed focus quality, and well, that's about it. If you want to create media, I would pick this. The S20 is too small, the S20 Ultra is too big. This is a sweet spot, particularly if you have, I would say, bigger hands, but not that big, so you desire an Ultra. This has been it from gsnhome.com, the review of the Galaxy S20 Plus. Bye bye.